Step into the light where the wild ones roam, where the heart speaks loud, calling this place home. We break the rules, we paint the sky, ridiculously you, we were born to fly. Ooh, it's ridiculously you.
I am Julie May. Welcome to the Ridiculously You podcast. I am super excited. We already popped on and we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff today. So today we have Lotus Banks, who's the founder of Mindset University. She's a best-selling author, NLP trainer, and kind of like a real life phoenix who went from addiction and felony to like CEO of a freaking global company. We're already giggling and having a fun time. She trains elite mindset coaches and practitioners. She's here to, drop some truth bombs and like have a fun conversation. One of the things that we're already gigging out about is like, we're both pattern interrupters. We're both like, can we just find a freaking new way of doing things? So if you've ever felt like disqualified from your past to go into your next chapter, Lotus is your girl. So I'm going to hand it over to you and just give them a little synopsis of a little bit of your story so we can get to know you better.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's this is such a great challenge, right? Because we could all like elaborate our stories all the way out because there's so many different elements. Like what's the most important for whoever's listening right now? And I think I have a shit ton of life experience. So hopefully whoever's listening, you'll find a little nugget or two in there. So I'm Lotus Banks. Like you said, I own and operate Mindset University. I started my personal development journey back in 2011 because in 2010, I was still strung out on heroin and mom of two kids, still had custody of my kids. Not sure can I cuss?
Yeah.
Ask. I'm like, shit. Okay.
Warning in advance, there will be cussing in this episode.
Okay, disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
So I had already had two kids in active addiction, right? I shouldn't have had custody of them, but I still did because for a very long time. So I was addicted to drugs from the age of like 16, 17 until 26, right? Had my kids at 22 and 24, I think somewhere. So towards the end, but for the longest time and why I still had my kids was because for the longest time, I was like the functioning addict, right? Like no one knew, my parents, I think 5 years in started to have an idea for sure. And I think that was the time that they started to be like, something bad is happening. But like, I was still upholding the jobs and still working up like the corporate ladder. And like my kids were well fed and clean and went to school and I was present in activities and like all these things. But 5:01, I'm clocking out and I'm hitting the dope man's house. You know what I'm saying? Before I pick up my kids at daycare, like just fucking insanity. And I really so in 2010, so I was 26 and in 2010, there was this 30-day cycle for me that I call it 30 days of hell, my 30 days of hell. Everybody's experience through life in general is different, right? This was my 30 days of hell. There's a lot that I could just pick apart and tell you all the dirty, grimy shit. And I did 10 years of active addiction, but that's not where the growth happens, right? So I want to focus on the transition and then what I've done with that information since then, right? So in 2010, I was 26. 30 days of hell was like I had stolen from a previous employer a year prior. My parents found out, they actually called my parents. Isn't this insane? They cared enough about me to call my parents, even though I had stolen thousands of dollars from their business before they called the cops.
They're
right?
Like,
because
hey,
they were
parents,
like, okay,
you're
better than this. Well, no, they were like, you're better than this. You need help, right? So clearly that was like the first signal for me that like maybe I am a good human underneath all of this, even though I've been showing up really shitty for years, right? And my parents paid them off. So in short, my parents paid them off. I told them not to. I literally begged my dad. I was like, I'm not gonna learn if you save me from this. Like I had gotten to the point in my addiction where like I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I didn't know what to do different. I didn't know how to not do the thing. right?
Mm.
And that sounds really silly to people who have never been addicted to something, but that was real, right? So anyway, so fast forward, it's a year later. Of course, I had been stealing from the employer that I was at the time, because I had reached a point in my addiction where like there was never enough money ever
Yeah.
to get the drugs and manage life and take care of kids and everything else. So they found out, I got fired. A warrant was put out for my arrest. The boyfriend that I was dating at the time dumped me after I stole from him, rightfully so. I got evicted from my house for the first time. I literally sat on the curb with my boys on my lap as I watched the sheriff's office throw everything I owned in the fucking garbage. I'm sure I'm missing something. I had one trash bag. One trash bag is what I literally owned for me and my kids. And then I turned myself in, and I literally, that this is the pivotal part for me where, and I'll fast track after this, but I think that this is an important piece to understand, was that I finally got enough leverage on myself. Like, so much shit had happened where I was like, at this point, I am fucking willing to do anything. I'm willing to do anything. So I sat across from the officer, and he was like, Lotus, we know you stole $787. And for a moment, let me tell you, for a moment, my ego was like, shit, they don't know, bro.
You were like $700. Yeah. Oh, that was it.
Right? My ego for a good 4 seconds was like, oh my God, we can catch this misdemeanor charge. We can get right back out there and keep doing this same shit. And then I would die. Like I had that clarity. I'm like, if I go back out there, if I keep doing this same shit, I'm gonna die.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
So it was one of those times where like time slows down. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting there, and I just realized, I was like, holy shit, I have an opportunity. I could cop this misdemeanor, pay the money, go back out there and do the same shit, or I could literally tell the truth for, at the time, what felt like the first time in my life. Right. So I told him everything, and it changed my charge, obviously, from a misdemeanor charge to a fraud felony charge of under $20,000. And I went to jail for 4 days. I bailed out, did everything I was supposed to do, moved into a halfway house, gave my kids custody to their dads for the first time ever. I mean, we always shared custody, but like gave them to them because I couldn't take care of them, and started to rebuild my life, literally brick by brick. And very shortly after that, literally like 90 days, I got introduced to the world of personal development. Now, I was like going to recovery meetings and stuff like that. And I don't knock that world. I think that there is something for everybody. And I know personally how many people have just totally transformed their life by being in that space. So I think that there's something for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
Right? No matter what. So I'm not knocking that at all. That definitely got me through my first year. But after about a year, I started doing personal development after 90 days. And after about a year of doing the personal development, outside of just being focused on you're an addict, you're an addict, you're an addict, it started to feel really unaligned for me. I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second. If words are powerful, and I am who I say I am, and what my brain tells me I am, and if I'm the one telling my brain that I'm an addict every time I say, hi, my name is Lotus, that's a problem, because I will continue to create that experience, and it will manifest in some kind of way in my life. Right. And again,
Absolutely.
not knocking anybody that do it, but for me, there was no alignment there anymore. And so I stopped like focusing so much on like the recovery world aspect, because let's be real, Julie, like the drugs weren't the fucking problem. Right? Like I was the fucking problem. I was the problem. I had experienced trauma at 12 and at 15, like sexual, physical, emotional trauma
Yeah.
throughout my life, all the things. And I didn't, my brain literally, like it was the safest, most resourceful, all that. There's no fucking way I would have been able to get through it at that age.
Right.
So that was really like, I understand that now. I didn't understand that then. but I had started to, right? I had started to in 2011, right? When I was starting to do the personal development. So if I fast forward just to like give you a synopsis so we can just kind of start banter and going back and forth, like I was totally enmeshed in that world nights and weekends, and then working my way back up the business ladder during the day, kind of a deal. Like I was always a really smart cookie in business, and I thought for the longest times that the drugs made me smart, which
Oh
is
my gosh.
insanity to think of now, like insane. But anyway, so I had to, but like, what did I have to do in that process? So like you and I were talking about before we pressed record, like with Ridiculously You, like you serving and working with women that, you know, have felt like they've had to like fit the mold and play the part and be inside the box, right? In the corporate
Yeah.
business world in order to be, do, have whatever they want, right? That was how I felt, with even a whole different layer on it, because I was also a felon. I was a fraud felon. So not only did I have this regular, I'm a woman in the business workforce and I'm smart and intelligent and powerful, and the man still is perceived as better than me. And no, I mean, I love men. I'm not bashing that at all, but that's the perception in a lot of business corporate worlds, especially still in 2011, a lot less now, I feel. But it was also this like, you need to play inside the box real safe, like real safe. You better make sure you're speaking how you're supposed to. You're dressing how you're supposed to. You're covering all your tattoos. You only have natural hair color. Be pretty, but don't be too pretty. Don't bring attention to yourself, right? Because it was like I needed to prove that I was more than what I looked like on paper. You know,
Oh,
I
for
looked
sure.
really
Like
awful.
I've talked to several people who've had that, you fill out an application and you have to check that, yes, I've had a felony in my past box. That's a
Right.
thing, man. Trying to get past that is extraordinarily difficult. So a lot of times like our brains are putting, like our subconscious anyway is putting up all these barriers and fears that are kind of unfounded, and is like, that's kind of stupid.
Right.
That's ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, but that's a real thing. Like when you're trying to get a job and you're trying
Yeah.
to support kids and you're trying to like get back out there to go, yeah, and I had a
Yeah.
felony. And there was some sort of truth to that, but at some point, when did it get to not serving you anymore? When did it get to
Right.
you
Yeah.
going, okay,
Oh,
I've proven
yeah.
myself, fuck that.
That part. So I don't know. I mean, I have black hair now, but literally up until like 7 or 8 weeks, I don't even know, 8 weeks ago, maybe I had bright blue hair, long. And that started when I got to this like, fuck you, I'm not going to do it anymore. Right. So I worked my way up the business ladder simultaneously on the side, like getting my life coach certification and then doing personal growth facilitation through a different company, not my own company. And like still working up the business ladder over here, you know, kind of a thing. And really it reached a point in 2018. I was working for a fabulous consumer products company as their marketing director.
Mm.
I got promoted. I got asked to be COO. And this company, so like in the little time I had worked with it, when we started, they were in like 10,000 stores, like 30 countries. When I became COO, and by the time I left, we were in 20,000 stores and across 60 countries. So a
Wow.
large
So cool.
scale, like branding presence, right? Like they had a very public brand. So number one, for me, for them to ask me to be COO, I was like, holy shit. Like there was a part of me that was like, I fucking made it. I fucking did it, right? Like 7 years
Yeah.
in, I hustled, I worked my ass off, I did it. And that felt like freedom for a long time, because at the time, as soon as I got COO, I was like, fuck it, I'm dyeing my hair blue. I'm not fitting inside this fucking box anymore. Like anymore. Like I
Yeah.
was obviously still who I was to a certain extent, but there was this freedom of like, oh my God, fuck all of you. You can't tell me what to do anymore, right? Even though nobody really told me what to do a lot of the time. But I had
Yeah.
made it up in my head, right? Like so many of us do. So I dyed my hair blue, and like that at first, like the radical blue hair was really just the FU, right?
Hmm.
To the corporate world, not to the business, because they were fabulous. But what I realized over about a year and a half of being COO was that I still felt unfulfilled because I was building somebody else's dream.
Mm.
Right. And I know so many of us feel that even when we get to senior leadership roles or executive roles, like you have this. I don't know. For me, it was like I had this awareness of like really truly how powerful I was and really truly the difference and the impact I could make for people. And I'm like, here I'm just doing it under a different guise in not the way that I would feel most fulfilled and most alive and most like me. Right.
Right.
So I quit. The end of 2021, I quit. I opened my own personal development company. Now, like you said, like I did all the things. I'm an NLP trainer now, an NLP master practitioner. I do breath work, so I'm certified in breath work too. I'm also like certified firewalk instructor and glass walk instructor. So like I love to do all the things, right? Like all the things, and have done personalized coaching up until now. And now I'm launching Mindset University's training element, which is actually moving to train, like you said at the beginning, training and certifying coaches and practitioners. So it was really like NLP was really what helped me, because so I started doing that in 2021. And that was when I really started to make the connection to the unconscious mind, right? The subconscious mind and the patterns that were there. And like, sure, I had seen that my behavior was different and changed behavior and gotten different results. But when I understood that it was all because of this little unconscious mind that I have that's irrational and illogical and like creates these patterns that are super unresourceful, but it's the safest, most resourceful option at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, remember how your mom said this to you when you were 2? We're going to create a pattern of that for the rest of your life. You're welcome. Thanks.
right.
Super
Because
helpful.
we think we're in danger because we're
I
getting
know.
the same feeling like we did when we were 2. So therefore
Yeah.
it must be the same scenario.
Must
So
be.
just apply the pattern and move on. You'll be fine. Right.
Overgeneralize, apply the pattern forever.
My
Not helpful, but
gosh.
thanks, subconscious. I know you're trying. That's what I always say. I know you're trying to help me. However, in this situation, not helpful. So how about we write a new script? Okay.
Right, right. So, and like, I love laughing about it too. Like, my biggest thing is like, shit, if you can, number one, have the awareness, because once you really choose to tune in, and this is for everyone listening too, like, you can choose at any time, in any moment, to any degree, to choose it, to look at, right? To feel within yourself, like, because we with like our gut reaction when we're uncomfortable as humans is to be like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I am this way. I don't know why this keeps happening. But we do know. We're just so fucking comfortable being in our little box that we don't want to pause for a second and take a breath and go, okay, I know you say you don't know, but if you did know, what would it be?
Mm-hmm.
Because we do know. We just like to act that we don't. Because our unconscious mind's like, not safe, abort. You know what I
That's
mean?
exactly it. Because you have like that inner knowing, and it's exactly what your subconscious is like. It's like, nope, you can't say that. People, that is not safe at all. Like,
Right.
can't say that out loud because people would, who knows what they would think if you said that out loud when you like have
Right.
this inner knowing. But I love the tools of being able to just, pattern interrupt it and go, okay, but like, what if you did know? Let's get to
Mm-hmm.
that point. And
Mm-hmm.
then you can start to behave in a different way, and it literally changes your life. And I love how you connected the I am an addict early on with like, there was something in you before you even probably got into NLP
Yeah.
training that was like,
Yeah.
how about I don't associate with that word forever? It's not that you don't have an
Yeah.
awareness that that pattern was repeating in your life. You could definitely see that
Sure.
happening. It's not like you're saying, oh, it isn't a problem. That's not what you're saying either. But if you attach that label to you forever, that is a problem. That becomes a problem. That becomes a part
100%.
of your identity.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. It was my identity. Now, just like any pattern, that identity was very, and this is what I think if anybody can take one thing from this recording today in this session, this episode is like, you have to understand that every pattern, as ridiculous as it is, or as unresourceful as it is for you, first of all, everything you do is a pattern, period, end of
Yeah.
story, period, end of story, right? But also, like, if you can understand that when a pattern is first created, it is adaptive. it truly, whatever the very first time that it's creative, it is adaptive in your brain. It is for you. It is to serve you. It is truly because it is the best, safest, most resourceful option available to you in your mind at the time.
Mm.
So that's super important. But then over time, what happens is because our unconscious mind is irrational and illogical, right? And it just does what this tiny little conscious mind tells it to, which also doesn't make sense, right? Like it over time becomes maladaptive. It over time becomes unresourceful, right?
Yeah.
Because it starts to apply the same pattern to situations that are different, but are perceived to the unconscious mind as same.
Mm.
Right. So
Yeah.
at the time, I want people to understand at the time when I first got up in a recovery meeting and I said, "Hi, my name's Lotus, I'm an addict." That was hella resourceful for me. That kept my ass like in check, on point for 6 months. It wasn't until like the 6 month mark through to 12 months where I was like, I started sharing less in meetings. Right, because I didn't want to say the words. Like, and at the time, again, I didn't have the understanding that I have now of how powerful the words are that we say out loud and that we say to ourselves in our mind. But I just knew something fell off, right? So what
Yeah.
happened over time? Over time, I learned different tools. I got more leverage on myself. I put more tools in my toolbox and more resources to where I could go, oh, so that's just a pattern. So I don't have to do that if it's not resourceful for me now. And it's
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
So
And I always say, like, there's layers of healing. Like, there's something that serves you at that first layer of healing that's like, it's like the initiation of a scab. It's like, oh, I
yes.
needed that to start to get to, but you don't need the scab forever. You need that to start the underlying healing process. And when that underlying healing process starts to go more and more and more, it's like, oh, wait, I don't need the scab anymore. I can shed that because the underlying healing has happened, so I can get to the next layer of, oh, okay, now what would be helpful is this other thing, and now what would be helpful is this other thing and this other thing. And so I would love to get into this conversation with you with personal development, because here's things that I see, okay?
Let's go.
This is relevant. Okay, because I've been in the personal development space for, God, I think 11 years as, somebody who's been a leader in the space for about that long.
Yeah.
I've been producing events and on stage and whatever for about that long, and consuming for longer than that. And
Right.
here's patterns that I notice that make me crazy, if I'm going to be real. Patterns that I notice. There's people that I think they're almost like addicted to personal development. Like, see if this rings true to you. Like, they go to an event, they feel good, they do the I feel good thing, they come home, they don't really implement things. And so it's like they go on this, I went and got a high, I went to the event, I went and did this, and then I felt good for a moment. Or even they hired a coach for 3 months or something, got high, felt good, went back to the same old patterns of things. And then they're like, they get to a place where like, oh, I need to feel good again. So like back to the addiction cycle of, oh, I'm going to go to an event again. And then they feel good for a little while, then they're going to come back. And I'm like, and I will see people do kind of this pattern, but stay in like, there's an initial growth. Like, they start doing personal development, there's an initial little bit of growth, and then they kind of stay here in this middly land. I've seen them be that way for like, these are people I've known for like 10, 12 years. And I'm like, you're still in middly land. So does it work or does it not? And so my question to you is, have you seen that? And what do you think that comes from?
Great question. So have I seen it? Yes, because I've been it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I've been it. When I first got into personal development, I was absolutely that person. 1,000%. And here's what I'll say. I am like, my default is like respecting other people's model of the world, right? Period. End of story. I also don't look at things as good or bad or right or wrong. Period. End of story. They are either resourceful for you or they are unresourceful. And if it's resourceful for you, great. Keep doing it.
Yeah.
Right? I only work with people when they're like, this one thing over here, not fucking resourceful. Right?
Exactly.
So,
When they have the awareness that they're like, so I've been doing this for a long time.
right.
I feel like I should get a different result, or somehow it's not working for me. At least they have some
Right.
awareness.
Right, exactly. And I think that that's what gets sparked by going and doing different personal development events or courses or whatever. Right. And in my own experience, so I'll say my own experience, but obviously this is out there because you've experienced it too. And I've definitely seen it out in the world where there is just that cycle. Because here's the biggest thing that I think is the culprit of that scenario. We'll just call it that,
Yeah.
right? Of that scenario is people are still living in the effect of other people. What do I mean by that? Because we're only going to change ourselves when we become responsible 100% for our results.
Oh,
Period.
yes, absolutely.
So what does that look like from a personal development standpoint? It's unconscious, first of all. So you got to tune in and actually listen to yourself, not what you remember saying to yourself, but what's actually going on, right? Because for me, it was like I started to realize, oh, every year, I love Tony Robbins. I still would go to Tony Robbins. I just love his fucking energy. It's like a dance party. I fucking love it, right? I love it. And for a few years there, it was this cycle of like, I'm going to go to UPW every November, right?
That's just what we do every November. Yes.
Right. Every November we go to UPW, right? And that was resourceful for the first couple years. But I would go there and I would get this initial motivation and have this clarity, right? And be so clear by the time I left there after 4 days of all the things that were going to be different in my life. But then I didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it would be different. I didn't make a plan or hold myself accountable or hire a coach to support me or even do journaling to call myself out on all the patterns that I was running in my life that were unresourceful. That's step one. You could start there. Anyone listening, you could literally start there, right? Just become aware, bring into your conscious awareness. What are you sick and tired of doing and feeling and being like, period. Just start there.
Yeah.
Right. But so many people don't do that, right? And why? I said because they have to take responsibility, but they're like, oh, but Lotus, I'm going to these events. I'm being in this space. I'm getting connected with peers that are in this same thing. Why aren't I doing something different? Because you're choosing the same shit.
Yeah.
Literally, because you're choosing the same stuff. So it's like, so what's the unconscious pattern here? The unconscious pattern that most people aren't aware of, usually for that scenario, is because they think the event or the guru or the mentor or the product or the event or whatever is what's going to create the change for them. That's not it. So as long as you continue to unconsciously think, if I just go to UPW, for example, if I just go to UPW every November, my life will change, then that's the only elevation you're ever going to experience. And your identity becomes that. And then you continue that cycle every year. Oh, I got to go back because I got to get my next hit of motivation. And I think what most people don't realize is like, that's available to you right now. Like even as we're talking, available to you right now. If you just decide right now, like you could literally just visualize, go back to that time when you were at that last event, float down into your body, see what you saw, hear what you heard, right? Feel what you felt of having motivation and then having clarity and then choosing from clarity, right? You have to disrupt the pattern. So if going to personal developments against and personal development events is like your only motivation to get you through the next year or the next quarter or whatever, and you're starting to notice that nothing else is really changing, you're not really where you want to be by going to these events, well, guess what? Your unconscious mind is representing that to you. The awareness is coming up because the unconscious mind's like, hey, this might be becoming a little unresourceful.
Yeah.
That's why we get aware of it, right? That's how it was for me. I was like, okay, so what's going on? I keep going to these events, but like, I mean, you know, I'm cool. I'm getting better, but like still doing like the same shit for the majority of it. And I was like, oh, you mean my brain's trying to tell me right now that maybe there's more? Maybe I'm the problem, right? So my biggest thing I tell people, I'm like, there's so much freedom when you realize that you are the fucking problem. I don't care what the problem is, it's you, right? Because if you're the problem, then you're also the solution.
That's what I'm like. Then everything becomes fixable. It's actually kind of magic.
Right.
I'm like, oh, it's me. Cool. Guess what? I have autonomy over me. I have stewardship over me. I get to choose my actions. So that's kind of cool. I don't get to choose anyone else's actions.
Right. And I think, but it's also so scary, right? Especially in the beginning, if somebody's like in that place where they're listening to this and they're realizing like, fuck, I've been doing all that, right? Like living in the effect of other people, places, things, whatever. The beauty is really in the initial awareness of like, oh, okay, so it's me. Like, first of all, laugh at it, because if you can laugh at it, you're getting like half the energy off of it. Like, we're all in this human experience. It's messy. Let it be messy. Right? Like,
for sure. I think though in the beginning it feels a little triggery though, because people are in like victim mindset, and when you're like,
100%.
so maybe part of the problem, I mean, personal responsibility and stewardship over your actions, that feels very ouchy to somebody who's in that mindset. It feels like, excuse you.
Great.
Like,
great.
it
But
it
here's
can
the thing,
start like a little bit of a trigger reaction. And I'm like, yeah, but guess what? My job is not to not trigger you. It's also to like
my job
connect
is
you with
actually to
truth.
trigger you. Right.
Yeah.
Mine is to trigger you in the most loving, resourceful, respectful way. Not how
Yeah.
you perceive and label respect right now, but me actually respecting you at your highest identity, the highest version of you. That's who I'm respecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think there is this balance for us as coaches of like, I love to play with all sides. Like I have so much like duality in me, right? Like I can be so intense and bold and in your face, and then I can literally just be like the softest little melty marshmallow that holds space for you. And I love having that kind of behavioral flexibility that I've had to work at it to train myself to be that way, because I allow myself to show up however that person needs in that moment. Right. And yes, it can be extremely triggering. I would even go on a limb and say most time it's extremely triggering when you're like, wait a second, you mean I'm the one? I'm the one that's responsible for all this shit, whatever this shit is for
Yeah.
you. Like for sure. I mean, I have had clients be like, fuck you. You know what I mean? But I'm like,
Yep.
great. If you need to cuss at me, then we're halfway there. So what I would say is like allow the resistance. So this is what I tell my clients is like, if you're feeling resistance, moving toward what you do want outside of your comfort zone. As soon as you step outside of your comfort zone, the first thing you're going to get hit with is resistance.
Yeah.
Now, the resistance we're talking about right now is the like, what do you mean I'm the problem? How dare you? You don't know who you're talking to, right? Like,
Yep.
and that's our way of like trying to protect ourselves. But again, that hasn't served us or you, whoever's listening, right? So by honoring that and going, okay, what if I was? I'm just saying, try it on, right? Just try it on. What if you were the problem? If you were the problem, then you're definitely automatically problem. If you're the problem, you're the solution, period, end of story.
Yep.
So there's so much beauty in that, right? And just know, like, I love to hit resistance. I literally had a coaching call with my coach this morning, and fuck, she like nailed me to the wall so good. And I was like, oh, I literally said to her, I was like, there's so much resistance in my body right now. I want people to understand, not hesitation, not knowing, not emotional, just resistance, but in a good way, because I now know the first time I hit resistance, as long as I'm moving in the direction of what I do want, that resistance is evidence that I'm on the right path.
Absolutely 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like then it becomes a game. For me, it's a game. I love to gamify anything I can and everything. And I'm like, all right, bet. Like,
Exactly. Okay, so here's a question for you. Somebody's sitting there, they think they're going the right path, and they're like, they're figuring out what things feel like in their body. What do you think the
Yeah.
difference between as it feels like resistance in my body and my body's telling me, no, this is the wrong path? What does that feel like differently to you? And how can
Oh,
people
yeah.
distinguish between those?
Mm. Wow, what a great question. Okay. Let me pause and like really be intentional. So here's how I would answer that first with a little disclaimer. It is different for everyone, right? So it's different for everyone. So this is where knowing yourself is really important. And also, if you're on the part of your journey where maybe you feel like you don't really know yourself right now, again, I would offer, what if you did know? Right? So, like, that's literally a question you can just ask yourself anytime you hear that coming up, right? What if I did know? So here's what I'll say for me, and then I'll circle it back into how other people can utilize that as a tool too, right? So for me, it's like this, I know the hesitation is good. Now, a lot of times it comes with emotion. This morning, I just want people to understand the scenario. Like, I was crying, I cussed at her, right? Like in a scale of 5 minutes, right? Like I not cussed at her, but I was cussing, right? Like
Yes.
cussing aggressively, not like playfully like we're doing now, but like cussing aggressively. I was crying. And also for me, how it shows up is like it feels settled, like in my gut and in my chest. It feels like this soft weight, not this heavy weight that feels really tense in my body, but for me it just feels like this really like soft foundational weight. I don't really know how else to describe it other than that for me. And it's also a little like I'll get like a little tingly,
Mhm.
right? So I'm like, ooh, like I can feel it. Like I'm feeling it now because I'm like reassociating to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually the sign where I'm like, fuck. Okay, this is it. Clarity, right? Clarity, the feeling, the inner knowing. And that's how I know. Now, I will say, if you were to ask me the same question, even 2 years ago, I got divorced 2 years ago, and I went through a whole different, I've shed so many identities in my life, but I was going through a whole nother identity shed, right? And stepping into a new version of me. And if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to put words to it because
Mm.
I didn't know myself, even though I had done this work and I'd been in this arena and I was a coach and I was successful in all the things. I didn't know myself. That was really where breath work came in to be such an incredible support for me. So here's what I would offer if somebody's listening and they're like, well, I don't know. I don't know the difference between good tension or bad tension or resistance or hesitation or a fuck yes and a hell no. Like it just all feels like to me.
Yeah.
So the very first thing, again, like you can sit with yourself, like literally sit down, take a couple breaths, give yourself some space and settle, like settle into you for a few moments and literally ask, I know I don't know what this resistance is, but if I did know, would this be the right direction or not? Because a lot of the time, unconscious mind just wants us to ratify what we're feeling, right? So, like, I know we don't know, but if you did know, what would it be? And then literally trust what comes up. No analyzing, no judging, no filtering, no editing. Trust what comes up. And the other thing I'll say that I think is really important is starting to listen to like the inner quiet voice. So when I started to really, I used to say for years, I was like, oh, I don't have an intuition. Literally, I said that up until like 3 years ago. I was like, I don't have an intuition. I don't get gut hits. I don't know. I'm like, such a load of shit, right?
You look back now and you're like, you're so cute.
You're so cute. Like you're, oh, little Lotus, you're so cute. But again, at the time, that was what was true for me. So
Mhm.
how did I start to interrupt that pattern? I started to pay attention to when I made a decision that felt good to have done, not good in the process, right? But good to have done. And then when I made a decision that afterwards didn't feel good to have done, I started to just pay attention what was going on in my body and what was the story I was saying in my head. Just
Mhm.
focusing on those two things can be extremely powerful. And what I started to realize was that every time I was doing something that I felt good to have done at the end, there was this really quiet whisper that was no tonality. It was like totally neutral tonality not intense, not quiet, not soft, not gentle, not hard, not combative, not like, good angel, bad angel, right? Or whatever you want to say, good inner you, bad inner you. But it was like this very neutral, no energy whisper.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I think that's my intuition. Right.
Maybe this is that intuition word people are talking about.
Yeah. So that's what I think, right? That's what I think that people can do in order to know, like, is this resistance the good thing? Right? Is this moving me toward what I do want? If you don't know if it's moving you toward, number one, ask you what if you did know, but sit with yourself and then listen to the dialogue that's going on, because your body will literally tell you. Your body will tell you.
So true. Okay, are you ready for a quick lightning round? I'm going to ask you some
Yes.
questions. We're just going to answer them really quick fire way. Okay.
Okay.
What lie do you think you told yourself the longest?
Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah. Okay. So what lie did I tell myself the longest? Ooh, okay. I was asked what lie I told, what I was the first one I ever disrupted. Okay, so I think the lie I told myself the longest is I will always be in physical pain.
Mm. And the truth you learned was?
Fuck that bullshit belief.
Bullshit belief. Okay. What part of your
I can heal myself. I would say that. My truth is I can heal myself. Again, being at cause. The power's within me. It doesn't exist out there.
Yes.
That's the truth. Yeah.
What part of your physical self do you love the most?
My hair.
Your hair. What part of your whole self was the hardest to get to love?
Ooh. Physical self or just anything?
Anything.
Choosing self-deception, even after my years of addiction, and then convincing myself through the deception that that was my truth. That was the most uncomfortable thing to actually, number one, be aware of, but then also learn to love that, because that version of me protected me in some way, shape, or form for a long time.
Absolutely. Okay, we're gonna get to fun stuff. What's your favorite thing to do on a weekend? It's Friday night. You're gonna go out with friends. Your favorite thing to do is
Friday night?
Yeah.
I was gonna say like any day, anytime I want to get on my road bike. So I'm a cyclist. I love endurance cycling, and I just want to cycle for hours. Give me an open road that's well paved and has a good bike lane, and I'll see you in 6 or 8 hours.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. Favorite place you've ever visited?
Oh, favorite place I've ever visited? I think Tennessee. I love the country. I love a cabin. I love seasons. I think Tennessee, believe it or not.
What do you think your 2010 self would say if she saw you right now?
Oh, fuck. I actually wrote a post about this a couple weeks ago. So
Oh,
it's like,
that's
oof,
awesome.
okay. Gonna make me emotional. It's gonna make me emotional in a good way. Man, she's fucking proud. She's so fucking proud. Like, it's like, fuck, man. Like, she wanted this. She wanted this so bad. She had no idea. She had no idea how to get here. And but she was fucking relentless. Even when she fell off, right? Even when she fell short, fell off, fucked up, made mistakes. Like I said, life is messy. Fall in love with the messiness. Because man, like who I am today, she wanted so much of this, but I'm already more than she ever thought we could become. Already. And I feel like I'm just getting started. So she's fucking proud. Yeah.
That's incredible. How does that feel in yourself to go, this is further than I ever thought, and I'm just starting?
It's exciting. It's thrilling, right? Like, and fuck, I love what I do. Like, I love what I do because I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people in the world that have had far more handed to them than I have been dealt, far more. So I'm not taking that. Just for my own personal experience. Like, I've been through some shit, as we all have. And the way I look at it now and how confident I am in, I don't even want to say confident, how beautiful it feels to be able to just bring all of me into every room that I go in. That is so powerful, because that's not an experience a lot of people have of themselves, at least not yet. And so with that, like, there's so much opportunity to help people, right? Like that's like, yeah, I love the mindset shit. Probably if even if my life story had been different, like, you know, my dad's an acupuncturist and a psychotherapist, my mom's a massage therapist. So like this vibe, this world, this naturopathic, you can heal yourself, you can heal your mindset, was also how I was raised. So like, I think I would have fallen in love with what I do regardless of my life experience. And yet it makes it so much more powerful and so much more impactful, because I've literally burned myself to the ground, right? Literally, and rebuilt it. So therefore, I know that I know that I know, right? That I can help whoever is out there with whatever they're dealing with, regardless of how heavy they think it feels and how much they think they can't do something different because this is all they've ever been or all they've ever known. And what I would just like to say is there's so much more out there for you, because I'm living proof. You can't convince me otherwise. You're so much more powerful than you would ever have any fucking clue until you choose it. And it's just brick by brick. It's literally, like you said, it's layers. It's layers. But man, I'm fucking in love with the process. And yeah, I'm just getting started. Like now, shit. I mean, I got dreams. I mean, 2010 self would be like, wait, we're gonna do what? You know what I mean?
2010 self could not comprehend, but that's okay.
Right.
We just had to like grow things so that we could go, holy crap. Like one of the things I say all the time is, if all things are possible, and they are, like, what do you actually want in the world? Because when I'm in that mindset, when I'm really in my power and showing up, you realize,
Yeah.
basically everything is possible. Like the world is full of possibilities, which is the energy you and I are at today. But for those people who are out there and they are in their like dark night of the soul,
Yeah.
they're at that, I don't think anything's possible. I feel like the world's crumbling around me. Both of us have been in those moments before. If you could tell them one thing that you think would help them the most, what one thing do you think would help them the most to understand that this is a moment?
Hmm. I think there's a couple things, and most of which I've said, but I'll word it a little differently, is you're right where you're supposed to be, even though it doesn't fucking feel like it. And right now, you have an opportunity, because you're listening to this, you have an opportunity to do something about it, period. So now it becomes a choice, because what you're not changing, you're choosing, right? So, and I say this with so much love and so much compassion and so much empathy. I get it. And I know it's intense, but if you can decide that you are the problem, then you become the solution. So from that place, ask yourself, what's the very first step, right? So you're having the awareness because you're listening to this right now and you're still listening. So what I've just said hit, right? And what you just said, asking this question hit, right? So it now becomes, you've had the awareness. The very next question you have, which I take this, all my clients through this process, is what are you pretending not to know? And write it down. And I want you to write it down until you can't write anything else. Like nothing else comes up, write it down. What are you pretending not to know? And then right after that, the next question you're going to ask yourself is, What needs to change now that I know this? And then you write everything down until you brain dump it all. And then you take one thing off of that list and you either do something different or you find someone to support you in doing something different. And that's how you will start to change your life.
Mm. So powerful. So powerful. What great questions to get them going. Lotus, where can people find you? They're like, I want more of this beautiful brilliance in my life. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at lotus.banks, BANKS, and also on my website, which is mindset-university.com. I have a free Facebook group. I got a whole freebie library on there. Like wherever you're at, I've got a best-selling workbook on Amazon called Unleash Your Inner Renegade. I've got something for everyone, regardless of what resources financially you have available. I want to help, right? So reach out, connect. Love to hear from you.
Love it. You guys just heard from like a real deal Phoenix, someone who's burned her past to the ground, built this aligned, amazing future. She's showing you guys how to do the same. So if this felt like a fire under you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, tag us. And with that, this has been Julie May and the Ridiculously You podcast, where I teach you how to love even the ridiculous parts of yourself. Bye-bye.
Share the spark, take it higher. Hit subscribe, bring a friend. Let the wildness never end. Tap in, stay